Business Aviation showcased at Auburn University. How this dedicated display of industry opportunities can help other campuses and organizations establish their own aviation career building events. From the National Business Aviation Association, this is Flight Plan.
This podcast is brought to you by Scudero, the software that elevates your flight operations.
I'm Rob Finfrock with your trusted source for business aviation news. It was an event years in the making, and by the time Auburn University's inaugural Business Aviation Day took place recently, it actually spanned 2 days of presentations, educational, and networking opportunities on the campus of the storied Alabama University. Representing NBAA at this event was Kristi Ivey, the association's Northern Mountain Region representative and herself an Auburn graduate. Also with her was Joe Damato, NBAA's Vice President of Educational Strategy and Workforce Development, and they both join us here today. Kristi, I understand you've worked for some time to bring this inaugural event focused on business aviation careers to your alma mater.
It has been in the works for a long time, but it finally culminated this year because of a really dynamic individual named Will Levier, who is a pilot for the Auburn Air Transportation Department now, but he is a former Auburn aviation student who I met actually years ago at an NBAA base convention as one of the Auburn students that came out when Auburn Business Aviation alumni sponsored students to attend the base event. And he was very excited and interested in business aviation. And lo and behold, he became a business aviation professional after graduation for Auburn University and was able to say, we need more exposure to business aviation at the school. So several months ago, he started planning early in 2019. He planned this event and engaged the alumni in business aviation, which without him, the support of the Auburn University Aviation Center, some amazing staff members at Auburn University Aviation Center, and then 50 plus at least business aviation alumni out in the world who said, we really want this event to happen. That's how this culminated. The idea continued to just build, and it turned into what was going to be a one-day event and turned into a 2-day event with so many people reaching out to Will saying, how can we participate? So it was really exciting to see how this come about. Companies and flight departments saying we would like to bring in business aviation aircraft for a static display, alumni in various capacities within business aviation saying we would like to get in front of the students, put us in, coach. So we had several alumni and VIP come and speak to the students in the classrooms. And then we had a few networking opportunities as well, but we had over 50 companies represented at this Business Aviation Day. It could not have been more dynamic, more successful. It was really just an amazing event, thanks to the individuals that really put their heart and soul into making this happen.
It really sounds like it was an exciting time. Joe, what were your impressions of this event?
I'll tell you, I cannot stop talking about this event. Full disclosure, first of all, I'm a Florida Tech girl. I am not an alumni of Auburn, and so I think that's important to point out. I was really excited to go to this event. I heard about it months prior to it happening. I kept seeing it in my social media feeds, whether I was on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. There was a lot of polish and organization and branding surrounding this before I even set foot on campus. And then, of course, my esteemed colleague, Kristi Ivey, is a proud Auburn alumni. And once I heard she was a part of this and some of the alumni that she works closely with, I had to go and take a closer look. Is this the model that our other university programs, aviation programs should be following to engage their alumni in business aviation industry and working with our NBAA regional reps and regional groups? That's the question I went to this with. I came out with a resounding yes, this is the model. I was impressed once I set foot on campus with how much was revolving around aviation activities for 2 days, speaking in classrooms. Nearly every aviation classroom that was in session had a business aviation alumni talking in it. There was a really great career panel that Kristi moderated that was for alumni and students, and it wasn't a panel, for example, of just pilots. It was a really robust panel showcasing a number of different career opportunities and paths. The next day, spending time at the aviation operations building, meeting so many flight students who, over the course of just the 12 hours that the night before to the next morning, suddenly had all this exposure to business aviation they hadn't been immersed in prior to and we're now so curious about. That was outstanding, and that continued throughout the day. So I was so excited to be able to witness this firsthand and contribute with educating these students on business aviation.
As you know firsthand, Kristi, Auburn has a storied aviation program, and that's due in large part to the high level of support it receives from a major airline. That's great for the program, but I'd imagine that also tends to highlight just one aviation career option at the expense of others.
As everybody knows, these students are drinking from the fire hose on what kind of opportunities are out there for them. And they're getting a lot of exposure to the airlines and other avenues in aviation. So this was thanks to, again, I'll give kudos to Will Levier. Thanks to Will Levier, the former student who's a current business aviation pilot for Auburn, he really just said, we're going to make this happen. And we could not have done it without boots on the ground in Auburn saying we're going to make this happen, and the support of the alumni. So yes, this has been several years in the making, and it's so nice to have this happen, set a set a benchmark for others, and then are also already talking about how we can continue this and improve upon these building blocks for next year.
Joe, we've seen business aviation represented before at Auburn and at other events as part of more generalized aviation focused career showcases. How important was it to have an event dedicated solely to business aviation career opportunities?
Rob, this is of the utmost importance. Let me start by saying gone need to be the days where most of our business aviation career path stories start with I accidentally fell into business aviation. I feel like that is the most common theme for me and my peers when we talk about the robust, wonderful careers we've had in business aviation. The origin story seems to be this wasn't the plan, this wasn't the goal, this wasn't something I learned about when I was going through my formal aviation education. The same is true for me. I had an excellent aviation education at Florida Tech. I was able to take advantage of numerous opportunities, up to and including an airline internship. And that was the dream. That was the dream for my peers who are having wonderful careers at the airlines. And it was the dream for me to also be a major airline pilot. Um, Once I graduated and I was able to fall accidentally backwards into business aviation, I've thought for years, for the last 20 years, why didn't we know about this in college? Why didn't our professors know to talk to us about this? Or why didn't alumni come back and spend time with us if they were having great business aviation careers? Efforts like what Auburn did are starting to change that script. So maybe the professors can't talk about it because they haven't had experience in that career path. Although at Auburn, I was so happy to meet one of the professors who is teaching a business aviation course. It's an elective, but it's pretty popular, and he comes from industry, so it's a great course. The fact that alumni wanted to come back and talk about the careers they've built for themselves, that was so inspiring for the students. What we heard a lot of was, I just never thought about it. It hasn't been put in front of me enough times or in enough ways for me to think this is a possible career path for me. What was interesting about this particular event is they are a stone's throw from major airline A, who is able to both geographically and financially have a large presence on campus, and we don't want to take away from that. But what was wonderful about this event was it was standalone from being in Airline A's shadow. We truly had the full attention of these students. If we can keep this formula going, if those of us who are alumni of some of these programs could work with university, could work within our regions, could engage the students in this way, back to my earlier point, I think gone will be the days of I fell accidentally into business aviation, and that'll be replaced with I intentionally planned a career in business aviation.
Coming up, we'll talk more about Auburn's aviation history and ways that other campuses and organizations might take some tips from this event in creating their own business aviation focused career days. But first, a word from our sponsor, Scudero.
Hi there, this is Justin from Scudero. Did you know Scudero now has an iOS app for pilots and crew members? The Scudero Crew app transforms how operators and flight departments share flight information by delivering everything pilots and crew members need for their missions direct to their phones. From notifications of assigned missions to passenger details and flight logs, pilots can now carry their full workflow in their pocket. Learn more today at Scudero.com. That's Scudero, SCHEDAERO.com.
We're back with NBAA's Kristi Ivey and Joe Damato, and our discussion about the recent Business Aviation Day event at Auburn University. Kristi, this event takes on even more significance when you consider the fact that it was less than 7 years ago that Auburn's entire aviation program was threatened with closure. As an Auburn graduate, how does it feel to see aviation return to prominence at the university?
This is something that we are so excited about. And thanks to some dedicated leadership and really an amazing education process from the leadership of folks like Bill Hutto with the Dr. Bill Hutto with the Auburn University Aviation Center, up to alumni writing letters to the provost and the university president talking about how vital this aviation degree program has been and should continue to be at Auburn University. I do think that the education from our part needs to continue of how important aviation careers and this aviation degree program is, but I believe they've got about 500 students in the aviation program, both professional flight and in aviation management degrees. And we're just so excited. I think another thing that's been very successful is the aviation groups that the students have either formed themselves or been participating in. There's an amazing group that was formed years ago called the Striped Wings Ambassadors. They were our hosts. They were guiding us around to tours of the aviation center while we were there. They were helping us with this aviation panel and greeting everybody in. So they're the ones that we see at Oshkosh. They're the ones that we see around the country and on social media, in addition to um, several of the Women in Aviation War Eagle chapter. There is an organization for Black aerospace professionals chapter on campus now. There's a 99s group. There's Alpha Eta Rho. So all these groups are really key, and the passion and the excitement for this industry is palpable.
Joe, I know you're eager to share your thoughts about your discussions with students during Auburn's Business Aviation Day.
Sure. I do kind of want to go back and revisit something Kristi said though first about all the student groups. I'm so glad she brought that up. What's wonderful about these students that participate in these groups and who are already, looking at ways they can volunteer and get more involved, those are students we say have self-selected themselves for further service. Not only are they doing all the things they should be doing towards their getting their ratings and working towards their degree and working on internships and networking and making connections, but they have found a way to already volunteer professionally in their chosen field. And that's a great way for them to gain leadership experience, volunteer experience. And when I looked at them, when I saw the poise they had, the professionalism, the polish, the enthusiasm, their inquisitiveness, it was it was hard to believe that they were still in their collegiate program and weren't already out in industry. I'm really excited about the fact that these are very likely our future business aviation leaders, and the investment is worth it for any business aviation employer, alumni, regional group representative who would be able to spend time in any of these formal programs. They don't have to be university programs, trade school. If you go to your local flight school or FBO, these are all excellent places to start interacting with these groups.
It is absolutely a partnership, and I want to piggyback on something Joe said. We do not want to take away at all from the exposure that these students are getting to the airlines. The interaction that I've had from these school professors and directors of aviation programs at these schools is, you know, we would love to fit you in somewhere, business aviation. They're getting a lot of exposure to the airlines. So we have no desire to take away. We just want to make sure that we have a platform as well. The career days are great. However, having a dedicated business aviation day to me was the key to getting really that information to the students. If we can come into the classrooms throughout the year as well, for alumni to come in, that'd be even better.
So, Joe, how might Auburn's Business Aviation Day serve as a model for other universities and even organizations outside the collegiate environment to follow in establishing their own business aviation career events?
To pull off something like this, you have to be all in from the very beginning and realize this isn't just something that you can put together very quickly or on a whim or lean too much on the current students or faculty or university, but it really has to be a partnership. It has to be a very mindful undertaking. Kristi and I are putting together a white paper on best practices that we hope to have available early in the new year. Just has to be a really mindful endeavor. And certainly, I've already thought, how can I take this back to Florida Tech and try to find out how many of us ended up in the business aviation world? And is this something we could do not in conjunction with the main career day, where we may be overshadowed by some larger presences? But what is something we could do that offsets us from that and that really puts business aviation under the umbrella, under the spotlight for the entire time? So I encourage anyone who's listening to give some really great thoughts about that. Remember, it's a team effort. This definitely requires a lot of moving parts, but Auburn has really shown us a great way to do this.
It really sounds like the single most important takeaway from this is the value in placing business aviation opportunities in front of students.
Yeah, we've got to just keep showing what the multiple career paths are. I think that's all any of us want to do. There's not just one career path. There's not You don't decide one day I'm going to be a pilot and then you think there's one path that gets me there. There are multiple paths for that. And I think that parents also need to learn more about other segments of the aviation industry. And at NBAA, we're developing resources that helps reach the parents and the guidance counselors as well, so that they can also understand what some of the options are on the table that are different than what might be the most traditional or might be the easiest to educate them on.
Kristi, this is also an important priority among NBAA's regional representatives. How are you working with other business aviation groups to make business aviation career days a more common occurrence?
My regional rep peers, specifically Britt Davies and Paige Kroner, helped with the development of the brochure that we have that for college counselor, high school counselors that are helping high school students get into college programs, and also kind of targeted to parents as well. And they did attend a national college counselor conference uh, to get this message about business aviation out at a little bit of the younger age. Those have already kind of decided that aviation might be a career path for them, but where do I go after that? As far as the regional business aviation groups around the country, we're all finding very fun and unique ways to engage with students, to offer scholarships and mentoring programs or career days themselves, business aviation career days themselves. It's really a dynamic um, and vital piece of a lot of these regional business aviation groups. The examples that I have the Colorado Aviation Business Association recently held a business aviation career day at Centennial Airport that I participated in, and it was a really great event for students to come out and talk about career path options. The Pacific Northwest Business Aviation Association and I participated in the Northwest Aviation Career Forum earlier this year. And then I know the Utah Business Aviation Association has hosted multiple career events. And I think that's the key is where NBA comes in is we help these regional groups, we help provide tools for these alumni perhaps to get back into their school programs and speak to these classrooms. We give the toolkit of the different career path options. There are so many resources that Joe and her team and everybody at NBA has jumped in to help produce as resource for these folks that just want to get out into the schools, talk to the students in different clubs, different areas. So there are many opportunities for not only NBA staff to get involved, these regional business aviation group leaders and members to get involved, but really everyone in this industry. We're all ambassadors for career path options in business aviation. So we're here to help provide some guidance. And this Auburn Business Aviation Day is just one wonderful example in the toolkit that everyone can use.
Joe, your thoughts?
We are also looking at multiple ways we can reach out to students, and especially these near-term employment candidates, the ones closest to entering business aviation. We do a lot at our regional forums that focus on opportunities for students to come to our event. We know that one of the biggest impacts we can have on a student and their feelings towards business aviation is actually bringing them out to the airport, bringing them out to the aircraft, seeing things firsthand. So we've done a lot with our forums, and we'll continue that in 2020. I was really excited at Base this past year in Las Vegas. We were able to host Collegiate Connect events daily at our booth. And each day we invited all attending college students to join us at a special section of our booth for a program where we talked to them about opportunities in business aviation. We offered resume review for them and some career coaching. We helped them with their LinkedIn profiles, including a photo lab so they could take their new profile pictures. We really wanted them to understand the benefits of becoming NBA members so they can learn about opportunities that include scholarships, internships, finding a mentor. There's so many things that we were able to do with them on property, and that we can also do through social media and through our website. We also want to work more with other organizations. And so Kristi mentioned Alpha Eta Rho, their aviation's oldest collegiate fraternity, a chapter there at Auburn, but I believe they're in over 40 college campuses nationwide. And they co-located their annual conference at Base this past year, and they've decided to do it again in Orlando 2020. So we're going to be doing a lot more with the college students when they spend some time with us at Base in Orlando next year. We're also looking at partnering with Women in Aviation. They also have collegiate chapters. They're on about 40 different college campuses as well, and there's some opportunities for us to connect, similar to what we've been talking about today. Regional groups with these chapters that exist, hopefully in a close enough proximity to them that they could go and interact with chapters like Alpha Eta Rho, Women in Aviation, OBAP, NGPA, 99s, et cetera, on their campuses, but also hopefully set up a reciprocal where our members aren't just spending time on campus, but they're finding a way to bring the collegiate students, their potential future employees, out to them where they can really see what business aviation is firsthand. So this has been a great building year for us, and I'm very excited with where we can go in 2020 from a national perspective and partnership perspective. One other thing that I think is important to note is we do realize that we could start a little bit younger, and we're exploring working with AOPA as well. They're in almost 200 high schools around the country with an aviation curriculum, 9th through almost 12th grade. And we want to start these conversations a little sooner so that our regional groups and employers are not only interacting with students at a collegiate level, but if they start talking to these students who've self-selected aviation at the high school age, that might allow us again to help them create a more intentional career path versus accidental in business aviation. So just a lot of exciting things happening there, in addition to what Kristi and her regional rep colleagues are doing around the country.
Obviously, at a time when our industry is facing an unprecedented workforce crisis and we're all working to develop the next generation of business aviation professionals, events like Auburn's Business Aviation Day are an important way to educate and inform students about the many opportunities in this industry. And as Auburn students discovered, those opportunities truly are limitless. For more information about workforce development issues, visit the NBAA website at nbaa.org/workforce. And that's the latest from the National Business Aviation Association. Remember, you can subscribe to all Flight Plan podcasts at Apple's iTunes website, wherever you find your favorite podcasts, or download them from nbaa.org. I'm Rob Finfrock, and thanks for listening to Flight Plan.